Back when I was still in college, my father would always call me Engineer Irwin, even though I was still in my first year in college. Every day for summer, every time my dad sees me in the house, like he'll yell out, "Hey, engineer!" And at first, I thought it was something to tease me or mock me because I still haven't done anything, or I was still in the process of becoming an engineer, or I was still in college. But then, only later in life that I realized that my father wasn't actually teasing me, he was actually planting the seed so that I would identify myself as an engineer little by little. When I was reading Atomic Habits, this book mentioned how a person who changed their identity would also change their behavior towards that identity, and it will bleed out in their behaviors and actions. And I realized that that is something that a lot of people who are learning to code, or people trying to become software engineers, are lacking. Most of the people who wants to become software engineers thought that the first step to get there is to learn how to code. But no, I would say the first step would be, in the roadmap, is to change your identity, just like in the book. I know this sounds a lot like voodoo hocus pocus thing, but in the book Atomic Habits, the author mentioned and explained that once you change your identity, the behavior of your chosen identity will bleed out in your behavior and in your actions. That's why a lot of people who were fat then and made the work to be healthy, become skinny, or become sexy, get this great physique, revert back to being fat again, because even though their bodies are great, their mind is still fat. And I've been there. Years back, I was fat and I lost a lot of weight, but then I reverted to being fat again, and in this behavior of a fat person where I just lay a lot in bed, I eat a lot of chips, and I go snacking in the middle of the night, just watch Netflix and sit on the couch for hours. And it's because even though I've made the progress of losing weight, I still see myself as a fat person inside. If only along with the progress of becoming healthy, I've also changed my identity and saw myself differently, I would have kept my healthy physique and not revert back to these behaviors of being fat. Because I saw myself differently, I would have drastically changed my behavior and kept it that way. And this also works when you want to become a software engineer. So at first, you have to observe what software engineers do. Like, how do they study? Notice their study habits and ask them questions about how they get started in this line of work. Uh, ask them how they learn new technologies. And so that before you go and learn how to code, you are now equipped with this new knowledge of what a software engineer actually do and their behaviors, so that your actions and behaviors would change, not only on the way you do things, but also in spirit. For example, when you are stuck trying to accomplish or solve a coding challenge, ask yourself, what does a software engineer actually do when they get stuck? And as for me, I would answer this now. As for me, I would go walk around the block, take a break, do anything that takes my mind off the programming problem, and then once my brain resets, I would go back and tackle the problem again. Or what if there are new technologies out there that a lot of programmers are learning? Would you go to that wagon and learn it as well? Well, I would say that no, I would just try to learn new technologies if they are actually needed at work or when I need them in the current project I'm working with. Another thing, consider this as a pro tip. I've done this before, but I think the mistake was I kept making my chosen identity or the identity that I want to become with external. And what I mean by that is I kept mentioning this to people who would listen. This identity of yours, whatever you choose, must be as close to your chest as possible. Don't actively describe yourself as a software engineer, for example, to people, you know. For me, the reason why I keep it to myself is because I want the satisfaction to be delayed. Because when you describe yourself as a software engineer without actually accomplishing anything or without the reinforcement, it's like you're already reaping out the satisfaction without any work. And so you already got the satisfaction. You already describe yourself as a software engineer. Why do the work, right? So I guess that's just me, but I would highly suggest you do the same and you keep it within yourself. You should just do the work, and people will just notice this shift in your behavior and your actions. You know, they will just naturally come out, and people would reinforce it for you. You don't have to describe it. They would see that you are already making progress at coding. You are now making web pages. They'll see that and they'll naturally call you, hey, this guy's a web developer or this guy is good at this. And you don't really have to actively describe yourself, right? And this is the best way to get that reinforcement, to get that satisfaction, and that will keep you going. You just keep your identity within yourself. The actions and the behaviors will bleed out. Eventually, you just do the work and trust the process, and eventually, yeah, people will just describe you as the identity that you chose within yourself. And that's how you do it. And hopefully you like this video and yeah, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you think that this was helpful for you. And yeah, see you on the next one.